Hello and welcome to SDN Tech Forum. Today in this video I'm going to show you how to install CentOS as a virtual machine, or if you're installing it on a few physical hardware, essentially the process is same. Why CentOS install? As you have seen in my previous video, I have shown you how to do a RHEL developer version install so that you can use it without any royalties or any fees. In this video we will talk about CentOS. So CentOS has been always favorite among small size or medium size companies because of the stability, right? It is pretty much close to RHEL enterprise grade, and it's stable. It has all the features, and it always maintain a parity with that RHEL. But now things are changing. We will talk about what is changing. So before we look at the download, let's go to the CentOS main page. And here you can see CentOS project. Now we have CentOS Linux and CentOS Stream. Why we offer two Linux version? What's the difference? So many of you who are using CentOS for some time, you'll be surprised that what is CentOS Stream, and the website itself explains that. So it gives you a quick glimpse of what is coming in CentOS Stream. Basically, CentOS Linux, which is stable version, it is going to be on end of life, and now CentOS Stream will be acting as an upstream for any RHEL release. What does that mean? That means all the new features, they will be introduced in CentOS first, and then when we have review, comment, developers comment, everything, then the feature will be pushed into RHEL. So basically it is going to introduce a little bit of instability in CentOS, but at the same time you will get the feature early enough. So it's like pro and con together. Okay. So how to install that? So for that you need to go to download. If you go to download, choose your distribution. We are not going to do CentOS Stream in this, but we will do CentOS Linux install. And as you can see, we have a couple of ISOs based on the architecture: ARM, IBM, x86. I'm going to choose x86 RPM. Click here. It will give you all the mirrors. Choose the closest mirror. I'm going to choose anything, and here you can see within these RPMs I have a couple of choices. Look at the size. So there are two distros. One is 723 meg and another is really big, 9.2 G. But look at the file naming. This is DVD ISO. That means it is a full-blown operating system. It has everything what you will need. And 723.1, which is boot ISO, it's a minimalistic version. So like it has pretty much everything what you need as a server or a workstation, and then you can install additional features based on the demand. So I'm going to use 723. Why? Because in my subsequent video I'm going to show you how to do a kernel compilation. So I want my operating system to be light so that I can fetch another source and do a kernel compilation, but that is for future videos. So let's go and watch the install. Why watching the install is important? Because myself run into a couple of issues, not issues, it's an order of operations, which I think I'm going to share with you, and it will help you while you're making your install. All right, so let's go and play that video. This is the pre-recorded video which I'm going to play, and I'll make it a bit faster so then we can talk about it. All right, so this is my VMware workstation. Within workstation, I already have one virtual machine. Let's create another new virtual machine. I'm going to set typical install. Within typical install, you have to choose guest operating system. I'm going to choose installer disk image and select the ISO file which we downloaded, right? So this is the boot file. Download it. Guest operating system, Linux, obviously, and version is CentOS, already itself detected. You can give a virtual machine name, customized virtual machine name, whatever suits you. And location, it will take by default whatever is your VM workstation, right? But you can customize. Typical install always picks 20 GB. I'm going to give more space, 120 GB, and store virtual disk as a single disk. All right, so this is my typical configuration. I can also go ahead and customize. That means I can add more network adapters and the sound card and printers, whatnot. Let's add one more network adapter here. And we will talk about network adapter settings, which is very important a little bit later here. Okay, so this is how it's simple as is. Just say add and adapt. And now let's go ahead and customize it a little bit. I want 4 GB of memory, and I'll allocate 4 processors, and I'll go ahead and enable virtualization anyway. So this is basically I'm like specifying the specification for this virtual machine, right? Typical installs uses the default value, which you can customize here. You're going to say finish, and this is how the virtual machine is already created. The state is power off. I'm going to go ahead and power it on, power the guest operating system. So once you start it, it is going to detect the boot ISO, and then it will give you a couple of options: install CentOS, test this media and install CentOS, or troubleshoot. Automatic boot in 51 seconds. Either I can wait 1 minute and it will go ahead with the first option, but I'm going to choose the second option, which is test this media and install CentOS. All right. I want to make sure the hardware is supported and there is no problem with respect to the hardware running this virtual machine. So it will delay the virtual machine startup a little bit, but it is kind of recommended way to do virtual machine install. All right. A quick tip: when you click on the virtual machine, you will lose your mouse pointer. That means you are inside the VM, and if you want to come out, you just have to press Control and Alt. So it will release the mouse from VM and you'll get it back. Okay. It is trying to load, and while it's doing that, let me speed up it a little bit as well. So let's go to 1.3. Yeah, as you can see, it started booting, checking the hardware. Loading all the drivers, and in some video we will talk about the boot sequence, that what is read first and what happened, how you figure out the operating system, all those things. Yep. For now, the goal of this video is to show you the configuration steps. So you are in configuration window, select your language, whatever language you choose. By default it's English, US, and here installation summary. You have to finish a couple of tasks before you actually begin installation. You can see root password, that's the easy one. Let's go ahead and select the root password, set the root password for root account, and it generally by default take care of like a password length and other things, and give you a warning that this is too short, but I am going to go ahead anyways, because this is just a lab install. I want something really simple. Then you can see there are a couple of steps like installation source, right? This is important. So installation source, you have two options. First is choose which is default, closest mirror. Let's look at that installation destination, where you want to install this operating system. I want to install this operating system in the virtual disk which I allocated, right? 120 GB. And there are a couple of options here. Storage, it can be automatic, that means, or custom. In automatic, there is a predefined rule that for boot it is going to give you 1 Gbps. For a home directory it is going to give 60% of the storage, and so on. So that is automatic. In custom, you can specify yourself. You can actually add partition and define storage yourself, or you can choose automatic and say that I want to make additional space available. That means you're going to add some more directory level space, but I don't want to do that. Let's go ahead with the typical install, which is automatic. So as you select that, automatic installation destination is taken care. All right, now what we are seeing here is installation source. I don't have any additional or local repository, right? I want to rely on default, which is closest mirror. But if you have a local repo in your company or in your lab, you can always use that. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead with the default one, which means I'm going to rely on network connection. So so that it can find the repo online. All right. So here you can see I have added two network interface card, and that's what it is shown here, right? And only one link is plugged in. So I'm not sure which one is plugged in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of one network mm, connection and just keep one. All right. So how we gonna do that? We will have to go to virtual machine setting. Um, okay. Yes, I did have some problem with installation source, and I was like trying to figure out why it is grayed out. Uh, so that's the order of operation. First, you have to tackle network and host connection. Then only you can do installation source. I wish this actually tell you somewhere so that you don't have to struggle like me. But eventually I figured out, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of one of the NIC for simplicity. I can always add additional NIC card later on. So let me find which NIC is connected. What I'm trying to do is IP config in my base operating system. I try to see which NIC is connected. And as you can see, I have found that my Ethernet adapter is connected and it has an IP address of 127. But that doesn't tell me more about which adapter, what is the name of adapter or MAC address. So what I have to do, ipconfig/all, that will give me the MAC address, right? So one is plugged, one is unplugged. I don't know which one is which. So let me go ahead and do that mapping from virtual machine settings. So I'm going to come back to virtual machine settings. Manages for clone and other things, but go to setting, and here I'm just simply go ahead and make this bridge. That means bridge it with the physical connection which connect to this machine, and delete one of it. Okay, so you will see here I'm a bit confused because I was trying to understand what should I do, how to make this network connection, and you can clearly see this confusion. Again, I'm getting error setting up those base repo, that error again and again, because I have not figured out that why I'm not able to reach the closest repo, which is like pretty obvious, but maybe I'm not that smart. Okay, so this is, I'm showing you how the configuration happen. So for each network configuration, you have an option to enable .1x security, IPv4 static or DSCP. We will leave it default, which is a DSCP, and then you simply have to come and toggle it and say on. So it will try to configure the network interface and try to get the IP address via DSCP. Okay, if at all it is connected. Right now it is not connected, so it will just sit there and try to connect. Okay. Let me. Okay, so now it looks like I figured out what I'm missing. Virtual network adapter, change setting. So first thing what I'm going to do is change this in a bridge mode and figure out what virtual nickname is. So it is VMnet 0, right? And here I'm trying to understand what is my Ethernet adapter name or some detail about it, so that I can do the mapping under virtual network adapter. So here you can see this is my Ethernet interface which is connected, and it is Intel RI210 gigabit. So let me go ahead and do the mapping. Yes, you have to isolate the privilege, and VMnet 0, as you can see, it is bridge and it is mapped to that physical Ethernet connection. Now it is mapped, so let me go ahead and toggle, and as you can see, it has got IP address from DSCP. As soon as I get the IP address from DSCP, my network connection is up. I can figure out what is my closest mirror, and as you can see, it is already started downloading metadata, and that task is taken care. You don't have to essentially do anything there. And now the final thing is software selection. Here is a couple of options: a server, workstation, minimal install, server with GUI. I would like to stick to workstation because it's I don't essentially want a server kind of machine, just a workstation, user-friendly desktop, so that I can download some source kernel later on and do a source kernel compilation. So workstation is a good enough for me. All right, now you are at the point where you can hit begin install, and it is going to copy all the ISO files and then do the mapping as based on the installation script what we or the task what we finish so far. All right, let me jump a little bit. Once it is booted, the first thing what you have to do, sorry, the jumping is a little bit riskier here. I don't want to miss any step. Yes, once it is booted, you are in initial setup. You have to just accept the license. There's your general purpose license, right? You just have to accept it, and that is it. Now user creation. So right now we have set the password only for root, but we have not created any additional user. You don't want to run your machine with root only, so let's go ahead and create a user. Create a username, and what you can do, you can make this as an administrator also. So you every time you don't have to elevate privilege. Pretty much SDN Tech, this user can do everything on this VM. That's what you want to do. Create user, set password, say that done, and now your finished configuration. Installation is completed. It will reboot obviously, and now the prompt is available with the username, and now enter the password. You are inside the machine, and as you can see, I am in new kernel. Initially you have this welcome screen where you can set your username, your language, and typing other things. Simple. Start using CentOS Linux, some getting started videos which you can watch. Otherwise, let's do the final verification step. Go to terminal and look at the operating system. Here you can see my operating system is a Linux kernel CentOS 8, and you are all set. You are all set to start using your VM. So I hope this video will give you a confidence to install CentOS. In later videos, part 2, we will watch how to do a kernel compilation. So thank you very much for watching.